Hey there, it's Lauren from Rustic Honey, and today it is a snow day at our Century Farmhouse, and I thought I would take you along for a slow morning. The kids are home, the snow is falling, and we are ushering in a brand new year. Come along with me today. I actually knew before bed last night that the kids would not have school today, so I went ahead and woke up early and went through my normal routine. And then one of the first things I've been doing after my workout in the morning is turning on the lights in the kitchen. I love the glow of these Christmas lights. Today I'm going to be cleaning up some of our Christmas decor and putting it away, but I just wanted to enjoy the lights one more day on this cozy winter morning. Throwing on my apron is getting a little more difficult these days with my growing belly. With this being my fourth baby, I feel like it's going by really quickly, but we're entering that phase where I can feel all the kicks and the wiggles, and I'm really soaking it in. I'm loving it. So I thought I'd get myself a little bit of a quick breakfast while I fix up this sugary treat for my kids as well. Thought we'd get a little protein in before we kick it with the Pop-Tarts here. This is a quick video of me putting together the Pop-Tarts the night before, so excuse the bad lighting, but I usually do this right before bed so that everything's ready to go in the morning. Now, I will link this recipe below. It is not one of my own. It's actually from Little Spoon Farm, and I have made it several times, but I think the brown sugar variation is our favorite. That was always my favorite Pop-Tart growing up, so maybe that's why. But basically, the night before, I'm just whisking together flour, sugar, and salt, and then grating in that cold butter using a cheese grater. And then I kind of mixed it together with my hands, even though you probably should use like a pastry cutter. I found it really easy to just mix it together and to form those little crumbles. Then I added my sourdough starter and vinegar and just kind of bring it together with my little spatula here until it starts to come together. I feel like my sourdough starter was less hydrated this time. I don't know why that was. I usually feel like I feed it the same way all the time, but I just added a couple tablespoons of cold water to make sure that this all came together, and then wrap it in plastic wrap, and I kind of form it into more of a rectangle shape the night before, and then it hardens up again in the fridge overnight, so it makes it a lot easier to roll out the next morning. All right, part two, and back to our snow day here. I'm just pulling the dough out of the fridge and starting to preheat the oven. You can roll this out on the countertop if you would like with some flour, but I honestly find it just as easy and a little less messy to just go ahead and do it on the parchment paper, because then I can just slide that onto my baking sheet and get it into the hot oven. I'm all about the shortcuts around here. I'm also thinking you could probably freeze this, and there might even be directions on the website about freezing this, but it would be an easy one to do because it's basically like a pie crust. I would think it would freeze nicely. My only thing is I think in the future I need to double this recipe, because it's it makes like probably 4 to 5 pretty decent sized Pop-Tarts, and it's plenty for my family right now, but they're growing and we love these so much they disappear so quickly, so a double batch would probably be worth the extra effort. Now, as I'm working to get this thin and rolled out, I do want to keep a little flour underneath because, like I said, it's kind of like a pie crust. You want it to be able to be mobile so that we can flip it later, and we're going to cut it and then make our little pockets. So I'm going to cut the edges to make a nice rectangle to form my Pop-Tarts or make them a little bit nicer, but I'm also going to use these scraps to make an ugly Pop-Tart because it'll still be delicious, and my husband and I won't care what ours looks like as long as we get some. Now, moving on to the filling, I am going to do a brown sugar cinnamon. So we're going to start with a little bit of brown sugar here, add in a tablespoon of flour, and then I just sprinkle with cinnamon. And again, I'm going to give you all the exact measurements on the website link below. I'll link this recipe. And I think on her website, she has different variations too. You could do strawberry Pop-Tarts or use different various jams that you have on hand, but for some reason, the brown sugar cinnamon is a favorite at our house, and so that's usually what I end up making. I'm going to put 1 to 2 tablespoons of that filling in the middle carefully on each of these Pop-Tarts that I'm cutting out for the kiddos, just working through all of that filling. And again, I'm going to use my scraps to make an ugly Pop-Tart, and I'll use the rest of my filling in that one. And finally, we want to seal these up nicely, so I'm going to hit it with a little bit of an egg wash all around the perimeter of this pastry dough and throughout every single cut so that it doesn't ooze out. We want all of that ooey gooey brown sugar goodness to stay in the middle of the Pop-Tarts. So I'm going to be pretty generous along here. And again, because this is already on parchment paper, I can make as big of a mess as I want, and it's a quick cleanup. So I'm just going to press these down gently as I work through, and then I'm going to use my fork to score it along the edges and make sure it not only gives it like a nice little look as it's baking, but it also serves to really seal up those edges. So once that is done, I'm going to take the rest of my egg wash, and this is just one egg that I whisked together. That's all I did for my egg wash. And I am going to brush the exterior of all of these, and that's going to give them a really nice caramel brown finished look when they come out of the oven. And then we're going to cover them in icing, because why wouldn't you? I mean, it's a Pop-Tart. You have to hit the sugar with some more sugar, but I promise you these are 100 times better than any Pop-Tart you've ever had in your life. So if you're not a Pop-Tart fan, still try these, because it's basically like a little mini pie. They're just amazing. So I'm going to stick these in the oven and get busy on a few other chores around the kitchen while we talk about the new year. Now, I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas. I definitely felt like we were very blessed this year, and I really enjoyed taking a little bit of time off the week after Christmas. My main business is in retail, I guess you could say, and so during the entire fall months, it's a hustle and bustle around here. So I always look forward to the week of Christmas and the week after, because it slows down a little bit for me and gives me a little bit more time to just reflect on what just happened in the past year. And I think that's so important to do before we even think about moving forward into the new year. I'm a big believer in goal setting and being intentional with how we approach everything. So I look forward to that season, but I feel like the most important part of that equation is taking time to slow down first and reflect on what you've been doing or what the past year has brought you. So we'll talk a little bit more about some things in the coming videos, but it's time to get the kids outside on this snow day, because of course they would love to bundle up and go play in the snow right now. We're not waiting. At this point, they have been begging me for well over an hour. And although it looks like it's a blizzard outside, it's a very warm snow right now. It's a very wet and warm day. So I feel like I might as well bundle them up and let them go out and play and try to pack some of this snow together and get it out of their system for a while. But you know how it is. It'll go on probably multiple times today. While the kids are content and playing out in the yard for a second, we are going to finish up the Pop-Tart icing. It's super simple. I actually don't even think I follow exactly what she says to do here. So I just add the powdered sugar, a splash of milk, and vanilla to this bowl and just start whisking. It's a little thin right now, so I just add a little more powdered sugar until I get the consistency that I want. This is basically the same icing I would use for donuts or cinnamon rolls. So just kind of a versatile thing, and you can determine how thick or thin you want it depending on what you're making. So I went ahead and pulled these out of the oven and I iced them hot. You could wait a little bit longer to ice them, but I think while they're still warm, it just kind of sets in there a little bit. And then I had extra icing, so I kind of drizzled it over the top. There was no shortage of icing on these Pop-Tarts, and that's just the way we like it. I had to add some sprinkles because I have so many left over from the holidays. I thought the kids would really enjoy that, having some sprinkles on top of theirs. And I'm sure my youngest will still want more sprinkles, because usually her ratio of sprinkles to like cookie, it's usually like, would you like a cookie to go with those sprinkles because it's so crunchy? I had to have a little taste test before heading out to see what the kids are doing out in the snow. But what a cozy morning here in the kitchen. So as you can see, it was just a really wet, slushy snow, so it wasn't really even sticking to the roads here and there, but we in fact did have a snow day today. I thought I'd get in a quick little walk. That is something in the new year that I'm really trying to get back to. Not that I fully fell off the wagon, but when it gets cold, it's not as inviting to go outside for a quick walk. And I really try to get out and get fresh air and go for a walk most of the time, hopefully multiple times a day, but always at least once. So I thought I'd go ahead and sneak that in this morning and take some pictures of the kids while they were out in the yard. So not only is today a snow day, but it is forecasted to get very cold and very snowy here over the next week or so. And for once, it feels like in a really long time, we actually don't have plans this coming weekend. So I'm really excited to take some time and do some intentional planning. I really like to kind of retreat and take time to review the past year, maybe go through the old photos in my phone and really, journal or make a photo book and go through the gratitude of what we experienced in 2023 and then move forward with how we want to be more intentional in 2024. And that may sound silly to some of you, but I think it's really important to get intentional and have a vision of what you're actually going for. Otherwise, you just keep reliving the same things. Maybe you want to live a slower lifestyle in 2024. But I think that begins with really taking a look at where you've been, what you've been spending your time on, what you can let go, and start thinking about what are the things that someone who is living a slow life, what are they doing every day? What are the habits that they have? So that you can begin to work in that direction. This year as a homemaker, I am kind of reevaluating some of the things that I do around my home, trying to simplify as many things as possible before this baby comes. Just like washing the eggs before they get out of control. That is one thing that I usually let go for a while. Running one load of laundry every day. I feel like there was a time period when I could do one laundry day, but those days are gone, and I feel like just sticking to one load a day will help me keep on top of it. Just those little things that I can work into my daily routines and habits are going to make my life more simple. Now, my biggest tip is that the new year should not be all about sprinkling in those extra habits, like Reese likes the extra sprinkles there. But it could also mean eliminating other things, other bad habits, or maybe taking away some things that are making your life more complicated in your calendar or social media, so that we have room to be bored. We have free time to be creative. And I've really been trying to think about this more lately with not only myself, but my kids. And I'm currently reading a book called The Comfort Crisis, and I'm about halfway through, but the chapter I'm on right now just explains a lot about boredom and how it's just very uncommon these days. It's almost so uncommon that it's weird. I've just been leaning into that a little bit more lately with my planning on thinking about how we can eliminate some more things and have more time for creative thinking. Now, my kids have snow day packets that they need to work through. It's a bunch of worksheets, and in my perfect world, they were going to work on those quietly while I took down the Christmas decorations. But of course, like in real life, it didn't actually go that way. I sat there for well over an hour, maybe almost 2 hours with my youngest, trying to work through some of those worksheets, through the whining, through almost some tears, but we got it done. And then I finally got to move on to refreshing our home and taking down some of this Christmas decor. Now, I will say, I'm not one of those people that takes down Christmas right away, obviously. Here I am this is after the first weekend in January, and that's usually when I take things down, but we've been very busy, so I haven't been at home to do it. But today is the day. I just feel like it's time. It needs to come down, although I still am really enjoying the lights and I don't want to. As I'm moving through each room in our home and taking things off the shelves, it makes it feel like a clean slate. I am leaving out all the cozy blankets and all the candles because I love somewhat of a soft glow in the evenings, but all of the actual Christmas decorations are coming down today. And while I start to dream about how to decorate things, Reese is beating me to it with her mermaids. But our winter home is pretty simple. It always feels really bare after you take down all of your Christmas decorations, of course, but to me that also feels like a fresh start. And it's kind of inviting to finally get in and maybe do some deep cleaning. I know a lot of people wait for the spring cleaning, but there's something about cleaning right after Christmas that feels really good too. It was fun to take down our tree and see all of the extra things that got added to it over the holiday, including our ultrasound pictures. Those were obviously extra fun, so I had to find a special place for those. But someone had to take the packing out of wrapped some gifts and threw it all over the tree. I don't know why. My kids love to do random things like that. I am picking up all of the candy canes. So throughout the season, I add candy canes to the tree. And as I was pulling them off, I thought we should play the candy cane game today because the kids were getting a little bit restless at this point in the afternoon. So the candy cane game is basically mom counts the candy canes and I tell them, hey, you've got a dozen candy canes and you guys split into teams. Somebody hides all the candy canes while you hide your eyes. It's kind of like hide and seek. And then they go find the candy canes. If you know how many you have, you'll find them all. And it keeps them so busy. I mean, it sounds so simple, but they love that game. I don't know. I think my mom started that with them. I don't know if that's just her made up game to entertain them one day, but it has become a tradition in our house. So if you need something to entertain your kids with, even if they can't count yet, it's a great one. You just hide the candy canes, and then you might have to play warmer or colder with them every once in a while to find them. But while I went up and down the stairs 1,000 times, it kept the kids pretty busy while I was packing away all of the Christmas items. I usually put on a good book or podcast while I'm doing things like this, but I actually lost my phone for the day too. The kids had it hidden somewhere. And so speaking of that boredom thing, it worked out really well. It gave me some time to think. So my biggest tips on the New Year's goals would be to reflect first and then have your vision for the new year and then break it down into these daily habits. This weekend, I hope you were encouraged to do a little cleaning in your home today. Maybe make some of those yummy Pop-Tarts. Enjoy this cold weather while you can. Let me know in the comments below what kind of habits you're looking to add or take away in the new year if you get excited about that sort of thing. Let me know in the comments. I would love to chat with you about that. And of course, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel so we can hang out again in the new year.